He's not just my Dongsaeng, he's my brother. Jimin's one sentence that shattered the internet and ARMY's hearts worldwide in a moment so quiet that it nearly went unnoticed. Without fireworks, without a stage, without the usual flourish of idol theatrics, Jimin uttered a sentence that sent shockwaves through the global BTS fandom. He's not just my Dongsaeng, he's my brother. One line, one confession. And just like that, millions froze in disbelief. Could it really be? Jimin, the ever-poised, often reserved member of BTS, had just broken the barrier between familiarity and chosen kinship. Why now? Why this? And what does this say about everything we thought we knew about Jimin and Jungkook? The line came during a seemingly casual live stream. No dramatic lighting, no soaring soundtrack, just Jimin surrounded by the kind of emotional stillness that is louder than any crowd. And then came the statement, spoken not with bravado, but with a kind of softness that slices deeper than any scream. A whisper that crashed louder than any headline. He's my brother. It was not a promotional stunt. It wasn't wrapped in fan service or planned for effect. It was real, raw, unfiltered emotion in a digital era where everything often feels too staged to be sincere. And that's precisely what made it shattering. Because Jimin didn't owe anyone that sentence. He wasn't coaxed, he wasn't performing. He was remembering. He was remembering the years they built together, the quiet nights in foreign hotel rooms when homesickness became unbearable. He was remembering the pressure they shared, the unspoken anxieties backstage, the weight of being 7 boys against the world. Jimin wasn't just reminiscing, he was confirming something sacred. And in that moment, what could have been dismissed as casual sentiment became something much more profound, a declaration of love rooted not in spectacle, but in survival. Jungkook, the youngest, the golden magne, the boy who once auditioned with Lost Child, trembling and wide-eyed, was no longer just the baby of the group in Jimin's eyes. He was a man now, molded through trials, tears, and shared years of bearing a collective identity. And Jimin, the one who had held him through breakdowns and breakthroughs alike, no longer saw him as merely a Dongsaeng, in Korean culture. The word Dongsaeng is already layered with affection and hierarchy, an acknowledgement of care, youth, and closeness. But Hyung, or brother, takes on a heavier emotional weight when said by someone younger to someone older. Yet what Jimin did went further. He chose the word brother not out of linguistic habit, but as a conscious redefinition. It was personal. It was permanent. This wasn't a broadcast of affection. It was a vow, and ARMYs knew. Immediately, viscerally, they knew what had just happened. Social media ignited not with excitement, but with stunned silence. Some fans cried without understanding why. Others sat motionless, their breath caught in their chests, reading and rereading Jimin's words. There was nothing extravagant about the way he said it. That's what made it so cruelly beautiful. There was no smile, no performance, just a man who had walked through fire with another, finally saying aloud what he'd long felt. He's not just my Dongsaeng, he's my brother. This wasn't about fan theory. This wasn't about shipping. This was history, because those who have followed BTS from the beginning know exactly what Jungkook has meant to Jimin. He was the boy who cried backstage in 2018, unable to perform. Jimin was the only one who pulled him into his arms. He was the one who flew across continents just to spend a birthday with him despite solo schedules. He was the one Jimin sat beside during awkward silences, placing a steady hand on his knee when words failed. And now Jimin, who rarely speaks about emotions so plainly, told the world what those moments had built. Fans didn't trend the moment because it was cute. They mourned it. They cherished it. They grieved and celebrated it like a sacred rite. Because in that single sentence, Jimin confirmed what they had always suspected but never heard aloud. The bond between him and Jungkook was not defined by age, rank, or obligation. It was chosen. They had chosen each other, over and over again, in a world that too often tries to pull people apart. And for Jungkook, who has weathered the worst of the spotlight as the youngest member of a global sensation. This must have meant more than any chart-topping award. He has been the one most exposed to criticism, the one fans worry most about. And yet, Jimin's quiet recognition of his growth, his loyalty, and his unwavering presence is perhaps the greatest gift anyone has given him. Jimin didn't need to make this confession. That's what made it so powerful. He could have smiled for the camera and left it at, "Jungkook is my little brother." But he didn't. He went further. He opened his heart, and in doing so, broke all of ours. Because now, every hug they've ever shared means more. Every lyric sung together, every moment backstage, every clip where Jungkook looks at Jimin just a second longer, they all feel different now. We can't unhear those words. He's my brother. It's not a line in a song. It's not an Instagram caption. It's a truth. A vow. A silent promise that even as solo schedules expand, as military enlistments begin and end, as geography and time push them apart, this one bond will remain unshaken. IT changes everything. When the world grows cynical, fans will hold on to this. When disbandment rumors rise, when tabloids spin tales of rivalry, when online forums dissect their every move, fans will return to this. Because it's no longer a question, it's a statement. Jimin said it. He chose to say it, and Jungkook heard it. The slight smile on his face, the gentle lowering of his eyes, he knew. He didn't need to say anything. His silence was thunderous. Because this wasn't new for him. He's lived in the quiet shelter of Jimin's loyalty for over a decade. But now the world knows it too. This wasn't for the camera. It wasn't for the record that IT was for them. And for us, who have walked with them, cried with them, defended them, and loved them, this is the affirmation we never expected but always needed. It's the rare kind of truth that doesn't just entertain, it nourishes. It reminds us that in a world of curated personas, there still exists something honest. When the live stream ended and the screen faded to black, the world did not erupt. It froze. Because something had shifted. Not in choreography, not in public appearances, not in Instagram posts, but in essence. In the unshakable truth that, even after years of industry chaos and personal upheaval, Jimin and Jungkook still find home in each other. And now we know. Jungkook is not just Jimin's stage partner, his Dongsaeng, or his co-member. He's his brother. Not by blood, but by something thicker. Shared dreams, shared pain, shared history. And that doesn't fade, and no awards, no fame, no solo success can rewrite that "So what do we do now?" We remember. We carve it into our hearts. Not as a passing quote, but as a cornerstone. Because that one sentence, uttered in a whisper, has changed the way we see everything. Their music, their past, their future. He's not just my Dongsaeng. He's my brother, and that's forever. Continuation, a reflection on Jimin's declaration, truth, illusion, or manufactured sentiment. The moment Jimin declared Jungkook as his brother and not merely a Dongsaeng ignited an emotional eruption across the global BTS fandom. Yet, in the sobering aftermath of this viral declaration, we must pause. Not to glorify, not to romanticize, but to question. Was this moment of raw emotional exposure truly as authentic as it appeared, or has it been molded, consciously or unconsciously, by the relentless machinery of media, fan culture, and commercial performance? This question is not meant to delegitimize the emotion behind Jimin's words. Rather, it is an invitation, a demand for critical inquiry. Do we, as consumers of global entertainment content, possess the necessary discernment to separate genuine sentiment from carefully curated narrative? Can we confidently claim that what we witnessed was unfiltered truth? Or have we merely consumed another layer of strategic emotional engineering designed to maximize engagement and deepen parasocial bonds? Consider this. The declaration occurred during a live stream, a platform that, although perceived as informal and unscripted, is increasingly becoming one of the most powerful tools for shaping fan perception. Was the setting truly coincidental, or does the timing itself require scrutiny? In a digital climate where every unscripted moment becomes content, is there truly such a thing as a spontaneous confession? Furthermore, the reactions that followed, viral posts on TikTok, emotional montages on YouTube, analysis threads on Twitter, have all served to amplify and reinforce a singular interpretation that this was a deeply personal, soul-bearing moment. But what if that interpretation itself has been shaped by an algorithmic ecosystem that thrives on emotional volatility? Are we reacting to Jimin's words, or to the digital echo chamber built around them? More critically, what do we really know? We, as spectators, have built entire emotional frameworks based on content fragments, often mistranslated, contextually ambiguous, or emotionally charged without verification. The line, "he's my brother," is undeniably powerful. But without access to tone, context, intent, or the full span of the conversation, can we in good conscience claim certainty in our interpretations? Is it possible that this moment, so widely praised for its authenticity, has become exaggerated, recontextualized, or even misunderstood due to the viral nature of its spread? Are we embracing a truth, or a narrative constructed through repetition, emotion, and digital manipulation? Moreover, what is the cost of blind emotional investment? When fans enshrine a moment as sacred, does it elevate or burden the artist involved? Have we crossed a line from appreciation to projection, where our desire to see something meaningful eclipses the truth of the event itself? It is imperative to recognize that the information surrounding this incident did not originate from verified, official transcripts or media press conferences. Instead, it has been disseminated through a tangled web of user-generated clips, fan accounts, short-form videos, subtitled edits, and algorithmic engagement patterns. In such a volatile environment, how can we trust the integrity of the message? Do we trust that the emotional weight of the phrase, "he's my brother," is not being exploited intentionally or unintentionally for the sake of reinforcing loyalty, increasing visibility, or maintaining relevance in a media landscape that constantly demands novelty? The underlying problem is not with Jimin or Jungkook, whose bond, real or perceived, is not up for debate here. Rather, the focus must shift to us, the audience. Our responsibility, our skepticism, our vulnerability to consuming media as fact without critical distance. Have we asked enough questions before accepting this moment as absolute truth? Did Jimin intend for a statement to be interpreted globally as a definitive emotional declaration? Are we seeing only what we want to see? Who benefits from this narrative? The artists, the management, the platforms, or the audience? What might be lost when emotion overrides skepticism? The stakes of such reflection are high. When misinformation, misinterpretation, or over-romanticization runs unchecked, it risks distorting not only the artist's true intentions, but also the collective emotional landscape of their fanbase. Devotion must be tempered by discernment. Loyalty must coexist with logic. In an age where visibility is currency and virality can obscure veracity, we must treat every moment, no matter how heartfelt, with a measured response. This is not cynicism. It is caution. It is the necessary rigor of a media-literate generation. The phenomenon surrounding Jimin's statement demands analysis, not just admiration. It challenges us to scrutinize the mechanics of modern fandom, how sentiment is packaged, how narratives are constructed, and how truth is so often buried beneath layers of digital interpretation. If the bond between Jimin and Jungkook is indeed as deep and unwavering as that phrase implies, then it deserves to be understood, not mythologized. It demands truth, not projection. And if it is a constructed narrative, consciously or unconsciously, it still speaks to something powerful, the human longing for connection, for permanence in an impermanent world. But we cannot let longing replace investigation. Not in this digital age. Not when the distinction between emotional truth and manufactured sentiment is becoming increasingly difficult to detect. We leave you with a question. Do you believe what you saw? Do you trust the moment as fact or as a collective emotional illusion? Was it a heartfelt confession or a reflection of what we want to believe in an industry that profits from emotional investment? The truth may exist somewhere between what was said, what was heard, and what was felt. But it is our responsibility, yours, mine, ours, to search for it relentlessly, to verify, question, analyze, to celebrate, yes, but not without consciousness. Let this be a turning point, not just in the narrative of Jimin and Jungkook, but in how we as a global audience consume, interpret, and reflect on the media we embrace. Because in a world overflowing with voices, truth only belongs to those who dare to ask, what if it wasn't real?